Here with my good friend Bishop Pastor Reginald Celestin, and today we're going to have a dialogue on this idea. It's not an idea, it's actually a really serious situation. The word is called restavek, and Pastor Reginald is going to talk a little bit about modern day slavery, a little bit about the Haitian context, and a little bit about what he's doing and we're trying to do to actually stop and to lower something that is happening among the poorest of the poor. So can you kind of like explain that? What does that even mean, restavek?
Yeah. Hi Adam and hi everyone for I'm glad you are listening. So yes, Restavek is a term in Haiti. It's like live with or being with. So what is it about? It's like a family with some sort of good or cash, not necessarily rich people, like they are living in Port-au-Prince and they would go to the countryside and get a child. Usually, most of them are girls, like young girls, like 7, 8, 9, 10, and go up. And then they bring them back to Port. They will come back to Port-au-Prince with them with the intention, telling the parents that probably they will help them better. They will send them to school, provide for, and then they end up being like the maid at the house, like they are helping cleaning the house, cooking, going out and carrying water on top of their head because they would do the task that normally the child of the house like will not do. So basically this is where it came from, but at the same time it ended up being into, like, since I work in the field, it ended up being in human trafficking. Like now they have some recruiters. Some people would go to the countryside or would go to let's say a place like Bouvier where we have built a school, a place like Cavaillon. So they would talk to a parent and tell, oh, I see your daughter or your son sitting there doing nothing. I know a good person that could give them like a better life. And the parents, every parent like you and I, we are looking for better for our children.
Yep.
So they got trapped, like trying to send their kids with that recruiter. It could be a relative, it could be a friend, it could be a neighbor where they're from who comes to Port-au-Prince. And then they just get that person. And then when the kid comes to Port-au-Prince, they end up being like, little slaves.
Okay, so a restavek, for those who are watching, is basically like a child from the countryside that is taken to the main cities with the promise and the hope of a better life, but in reality becomes like a bonded labor slave in a sense in the house, and also it also helps fuel sex trafficking. Is that reality?
Yeah, in some cases, yes, that happened. It could happen with the parent, like the husband, an uncle, a cousin living in the house.
So and that they bring them in the house, and then the husband or an uncle or an older brother abuses this child, and they have no rights.
No.
Do they have paperwork many times?
No, not sometimes. They just send them with their birth certificate.
Okay, so they at least have a birth certificate.
Yeah, so from their parent, not from the person that hosting them.
Yep. So this is a really, really challenging scenario. And do you think that it's basically rooted in poverty?
Exactly. It's rooted in poverty because the reason why the parent is sending the kid, it's simply because the parent cannot provide to the immediate needs of that child. And very often because the social community work services in their community, it's not available.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're underpaid, overworked, understaffed, and underpoliced. The poor globally are always underpoliced. And by the time the police would get the situation, it's already too late in the sense that they've already been victimized. And so it's a really rough thing. One of the things that I want to kind of communicate to those who are watching is that poverty always gives birth to unnecessary tragedy.
Exactly.
And so you have many different unnecessary tragedies and complexities because of poverty. And so one of the things Steve Stewart, my spiritual father, and a father also in your life as well, taught us is that poverty is not a lack of resources, it's a lack of opportunity, and
Exactly.
opportunity unlocks potential. So
Exactly.
now you planted a second church in Cavaillon, which is a very rural area, like the area that many of these kids would come from.
Yeah.
And so now you're working to see these type of things end, right?
Exactly.
So that's obviously that's good news. That's exciting, and that's part of why we're on the call. But before we jump too far into it, what is what is the numbers roughly as it relates to Restaveks and child slavery in Haiti? What is
Uh,
the number? Is it still 1% of the population?
I yeah, I would say it's about, even though there are some organizations that are working hard, to stop it. Like we have one organization in Haiti called Restavik Freedom. So I work with them. We did some conferences together with an organization called Lumos that I
Yep.
work with. So we can say at the same time it is diminishing, but since we don't have a solid government, though it's like you are removing one kid from Restavek, and then you don't know how many more are being put into that situation again.
Yeah.
So that's why we cannot really tell how many people exactly, because there's no proper record on that.
Yeah. And so for example, let's say that there's opportunity right where the children are, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a preventative thing as it relates to sending kids to another place away from their own parents?
Exact. Because let's say you live in a place where you have like every parent has the same heart for their children,
Yep.
want them to have the best. Let's say you live in a community where there's no school, no hospital, no entertainment, no light, no nothing. And then
Yeah.
someone say, I'm bringing them to the El Dorado, which is Port-au-Prince, or the main city where you have always dreamed to live in. So meaning, to me personally, one of the way to prevent it is to create the social community services, where the parent, because most of them, they can feed their kids. Like when I say they can feed their kids, because it may not be a healthy food, but at least they can grow some crops, they can do something. But the thing is the other things: education, health, and a better life. So by creating the social services, the social community services, we are preventing it from happening. And let me jump quickly to that. Like for ourselves in our church in Port-au-Prince, it is mandatory, it's prohibited. No one from our church can go to Cavaillon and take a kid to Port-au-Prince. No, to the point we had one lady who did that once, and I asked her to send the girl back to Cavaillon.
Yep.
Send me, because I said, if you really want to help a kid, why don't you just send the money and help
Help the
them?
mom.
Not just pretending you want to bring them to give them a better life, while you know for sure you are going to use their services free.
Yeah. That's awesome. So that's amazing. So yeah, you told them like return the child. Like it's not good. So that's awesome. So now what are you doing in Cavaillon? Because we've been working there together. We just did a crusade there in February. God is moving there. The church is moving. Together we built a basketball court. You built shelters for people after the earthquake. You're feeding lots of people. Like what are some of the next things that you and I were up to together for the kingdom, and how can people get involved? Because we want to bring forth solutions, right? We don't want to just talk about problems. We want to actually do something. So what are the things that you're doing, and what are the things that we're going to be doing together?
Yeah. So now we have two things that is really pressing into our heart. The first one is to build a kindergarten, primary, and secondary, like high school. We are really working, and we are believing God that by September we will start with the school, even with 3 classrooms, like
Wow.
the garden, and build it up to
Crazy.
the last class. So, and secondly, we are working on digging a deep well, where we
Yes.
make sure that we provide water. We provide water because even if you have a school, for instance, you need to make sure that water is everything. And water is everything in life. You can go without food a longer period than you could go without water.
Yep.
So meaning water, I mean, as you know, we've done a lot of things, a lot of water filters, because we know that water is a major killer around the world, bad water. And
Yep.
the world is still facing, I mean, debating against that problem. So we are working together to see how we can, on near the basketball court, because actually what we are building a community changing mindset. Like everything that we do, we are doing it in order to bring community services to that area. So like,
Yeah.
as you know, you've been there, there's no school at all in the immediate area where we are working. Kids have to walk, miles, to go to school,
Yeah.
at least 1 kilometer,
Yep.
so that's why we are working on that. So but the water will help in several areas like digging a well will help, first of all, to provide clean water to the people in that neighborhood.
Yep.
Secondly, it will help irrigate the farm, because attached to the school we are going to have a farm, because the goal is to provide feeding to the kids, everyone coming to the school.
Mhm.
And our vision is to be able to produce 40% of everything that the kids will actually eat.
Wow.
Because I understand that we need to develop farming so that people don't leave the countryside to go to other places while they have all the riches in the area where they are. So we're going to teach the
Yep.
kids farming and
Um,
stuff like that.
yeah, and the quality of life, believe it or not, it's hard for people to understand this because of urbanization and stuff. People really don't understand that in reality, if you develop the countryside in some basic ways and some simple ways, the quality of life in the countryside is actually a lot better. The quality
Exactly.
of air is better. The opportunities are better in terms of just like the idea of growing your own food and all this stuff. Like it's really incredible. It's a really great opportunity.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, 1 second, hold on. Uh, and so the like just to grow and to employ people and then to sell it. There's a whole bunch of things that I just think that I think that urbanization is a reality.
Yeah,
And it's a global thing that's happening, and I don't think it's going to stop happening. But I
yeah.
also think, and I know, and I have friends that are actually moving out of city type places for a simpler life. And I see that happening even in the States. And so it's a really just interesting reality that is happening. And so what I'm excited about is that you guys are really, doing something about it. And so together, we're going to dig this well. It's going to cost about $25,000, roughly 8,000 a phase in 3 phases. And let me just kind of explain to the people the phases I have.
Yeah.
And so the first stage is 8,500, and that's really basically just digging the well itself. And so that's stage one. And then stage two.
Also, we have to say that digging it with our hand or with our hand pump, like we will have water from the first stage.
Okay, cool. So that 8,500 includes a hand pump. Then the second phase will be another $8,000 roughly. And then that's will have solar power, and that'll have a pump system that brings the water up in that way. And then the third phase is actually what will clean the water, which will be a real benefit to the community. And so the more you build up the community, the less likely you have children being taken from the community. And so anyway, this is just a transformational thing. And you planted the first church in 300 years there. We've taken a bunch of teams there. You've done a bunch of relief. I mean, God is moving there. So there's a lot of good things that are happening. I'm so encouraged with what you're doing. And for those of you who want to give to this project, you can go to WeSeeJesusMinistries.com/give/projects, and you'll see the Haiti Well Project. And if you want to give via Zelle, you can give at 201-562-6335. Please write Haiti Well in the note, And if you're old school and you write checks, you can write a check to We See Jesus Ministries and send it to 31 Worthington Place, Little Ferry, New Jersey, 07643. And please write Haiti well in the memo. So that's 3 ways that you can give, and we would really appreciate you sewing into this generously, because our goal is to have this done by September, basically during the time where the school is going to be happening. And so it's a really faith, it's a faith goal. But we're just trusting God, and I just feel like people, when they have an understanding of the basketball court and the school and the relief and the church, like you're actually in the process of literally transforming a community. And I know that people talk about it and pray about it, but I mean, you're actually doing it. And so, you're getting an opportunity to actually be a part of that. And then in time, we're going to be bringing teams back to this area so that you can see actually what is really happening there. It's really amazing. I just remember like basically going there and seeing the progress over the years, just being so encouraged by the work, that Pastor Reginald and his wife and their team is doing. And it wouldn't be happening without people who have a heart of compassion and a heart of generosity. And so I want you to think of this as, in a sense, you're actually liberating child slaves, because you're building a community and you're preventing kids that are called restavek from being taken, basically with a false promise of a better life, but you're actually providing and helping to provide a better life right where they are. And so the kingdom of God is actually coming there, and there's a lot of great things that are happening. And so I really want you to prayerfully consider, being a part of what God is doing there through giving and through praying for Pastor Reginald. And we also have actually on our page, in America, we're in a habit of honoring accomplishments, but not really people. And so on our page on WeSeeJesusMinistries.com/give/projects, there's actually a page specifically for Pastor Reginald and his beautiful family. If you want to actually just sow into them for all the work that they do for the kingdom, because we don't want to just build a community. We want to also bless the people that are actually doing the actual work. And so honor is a really important value in the kingdom. And we don't want to just honor accomplishments, but we also want to honor people. And so that's another thing that if it's in your heart, that would be a great blessing to me if you just sow into Pastor Reginald and his wife and their kids. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of just bring people up a little bit on what's going on. Pastor Reg, you got have anything else you want to kind of drop on us?
Yeah, I lost you. I lost you first.
You froze for a second.
Yeah.
I said, is there anything else that you'd like to kind of just drop on us?
Yeah. So I just wanted to remind everyone watching this video now. So these type of projects that we are doing, they are not like one-time project. It's something that when you do it, you are investing in the next 10, 15, 20 years. And by doing it, actually, like the same way we did the basketball court, we are removing the mindset that everything has to go to the main cities, the big cities. But people in the neighborhood, people in the countryside, they have access to what is available to the rest of the world.
Yep.
Like I will give you one example. One thing that the reason why I am doing what I'm doing in Cavallo, it's because my old dream, my desire is to go and live there, actually live in the midst of the people, because there is a better life, better air, better environment, better everything. But each time I am thinking of my children, my wife and I, we are just thinking, we already send them to school. They go to a good school. They are doing,
Yep.
like my son is playing soccer and other stuff that they are doing, but taking them to Cavallo, it's like there's nothing like that for them. And I remember I was praying, and clearly I can hear the Lord telling me, make sure that no other Reginald Celestine will face that problem. So
Yep.
if the Reginald Celestine wants to move to Cavallo, so they have available what they need to live there. So actually, that's why we are building a good school. We are providing a better life through, let's say, just through the basketball court. And I can't stop thanking God and everyone we have given toward that project to see now we are all the way in the bush. You are seeing people from the main cities coming and leaving around 6, 7 p.m. because that's the only place that they have where they can come and play basketball, play volleyball, play badminton. And for them, that's the first time they ever seen something, a sport called badminton, and they are playing it. Seeing young girls doing that,
Yep.
to me personally, it's really bringing a paradigm shift
Yeah.
where people can go to where no one would go.
Yeah. It brings delight to the heart of God.
Yeah.
Recently I was watching my two older kids just get along, and they were at the table playing a game together. And I just stopped and just absorbed it. And it just brought delight to my heart to see them getting together in unity and just flowing together. And it brings the delight to the heart of God to see kids just being kids,
Yeah.
just having fun, just being kids, not caught up in, how are they going to eat tomorrow? All these things, like, it just brings delight to him. Actually, while we're talking about delight, my kids are screaming downstairs. But anyway, so it's exciting, man. I'm super thankful for our friendship, and just for everything you and your wife and you guys do, because I know that it's a sacrifice, but it's also a great joy. And so it's exciting. And anyway, those of you who are watching, really prayerfully consider giving to this water well project. It's going to be huge. It's going to be great. And it's going to be profitable, affordable, and sustainable. And so it's gonna bring some profit, which will go back into the ministry, so that there's no expenses outside of the well itself. So the well will produce, it will give people affordable water at a price that they can't get it anywhere else, and they'll also be sustainable. And so now finally, because you own land, we can actually dig a well. Like, water filters are awesome when people don't have land. And, just for context, when you're dealing with the global poor, many times you're dealing with people who are not landowners. So you can't dig a well. But since you own land, you've made an investment, you've laid roots in the community. Now we're in a different season, and you're in a different season. And it's exciting because we're in a season of building, and we're building for the future, and you can be a part of it. So prayerfully consider going to wecjesusministries.com/give/projects. We would really appreciate that. Bishop, you have anything else for us?
So I just want to encourage everyone giving toward this project. That by doing it, you are participating in life changing, and you will hear many, many big stories coming just from that one project.
Yeah, your gift and your prayers is literally helping to shape the future. So really prayerfully consider that. Bless you guys.